From late summer to early spring the next year, I lived at the Morisaki Bookshop. I spent that period of my life in the spare room on the second floor of the store, trying to bury myself in books. The cramped room barely got any light, and everything felt damp. It smelled constantly of musty old books. But I will always remember the days I spent there, because that's where my real life began. And I know, without a doubt, that if not for those days, the rest of my life would have been bland, monotonous, and lonely. The Morisaki Bookshop is precious to me. It's a place I know I'll never forget. When I close my eyes, the memories still come back to me so vividly. It all began like a bolt of lightning out of the clear blue sky. No, what happened was more shocking than that, more shocking even than seeing frogs raining from the sky in a downpour. One day, Hideaki, the boyfriend I'd been going out with for a year, suddenly blurted out, "I'm getting married." When I first heard him, my mind was filled with questions. Now, if he'd said, "Let's get married," I would have understood. Or if he'd said, "I want to get married," I still would have understood. But "I'm getting married" was just weird. Marriage, after all, is a covenant based on mutual agreement, so grammatically the sentence was completely wrong. And what about the casual way he said it? It was so brusque. The tone of his voice was exactly the same one he would have used to say, "Hey, I found 100 yen on the side of the road." It was a Friday night in the middle of June. We were having a nice dinner together after work at an Italian restaurant in Shinjuku. The restaurant was on the top floor of a hotel, so we had a beautiful view of the city at night, all the gleaming neon lights. It was our favourite spot. Hideaki, who was 3 years ahead of me at work, was someone I'd had a secret crush on from the day I started. Just being together made my heart bounce inside my chest like a trampoline. That night was the first time we'd been alone together in a while, so as I drank my wine, I was in especially good mood. But then, without thinking, I replied, "Huh?" I thought maybe I had misheard him, but he repeated what he'd said matter-of-factly. "So it looks like I'm getting married next year." Married? Who's getting married to whom? I am. To her. Huh? I was still puzzled. Who's she? And then he says the name of a girl in a different department of the company, without the slightest hint of guilt in his voice. She had been hired at the same time as me, and she looked so pretty that even I wanted to wrap my arms around her. Compared to her, I was taller and more ordinary looking. I couldn't understand why he'd even consider getting involved with me when he was going out with someone as pretty as she was. When I asked him, he said they'd been together for 2.5 years. In other words, they'd been together even longer than we had. Of course, I had no idea that he was with anyone else. I never suspected it. I never considered the possibility. We'd kept our relationship a secret at the office, but I had just assumed that was to avoid making things awkward for others at work. Yet, from the very beginning, I was never his first choice. I was just someone to fool around with. How did I not realise that? Either I was slow, or there was something off about him. Anyway, the two of them had already met each other's parents. The engagement gifts would be done next month. I felt dizzy. It was as if a monk had rung a temple bell inside my head. I could almost hear the gong.